Hey, I'm JG. Welcome back. I want to talk about one of these strength training principles and guidelines that I constantly write about and talk about on my blog at safefitnesstraining.com. And that's the idea that we want to make sure that we are getting our muscles to full muscle fatigue during workouts. And I want to show you what that is, give you examples at the end as well of why that's important, why it's important to fully fatigue our muscles. And before we get started, hey, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, and share this video if you can. That is the most helpful thing that you could possibly do for my channel. Kind of a background, I started with traditional methods of strength training. And when you kind of think about that, if you've ever been involved in any kind of strength training, like in a gym, they'll do like 4 sets of 5 repetitions, right? And they'll rest between repetitions, and it won't be heavy weight. We won't get to that place of muscle fatigue in most traditional methods. And what I'm talking about is the place that you can't pull any further. And that's typically where we actually get the most amount of muscle growth. One of my favorite topics, one of my favorite intros to a book was actually just this one phrase from Dr. Ben Bocciccino's book, 5 Minutes to Fitness. And he basically says that he said this phrase so many times to people, and that is, muscles can't count. So when we're talking about doing all of these repetitions on machines, none of that is as productive as simply pushing to full fatigue. We could actually do just 5 repetitions without resting between reps, preferable, and we can get to that full fatigue. When we're talking about full muscle fatigue, it's helpful to go slow through those repetitions. If you see people, of course, at gyms, and they're just jerking their muscles like this, and it isn't like they're doing something really productive. They're actually pulling the connective tissue from their bone, and they're actually hurting the muscle on a deep level. The slower you go, the more impact that you'll feel on those muscle groups as you move through a range of motion. And of course, the more impact it's going to have. It's not just feeling the muscle. It's having that impact, the more that you can feel that. It's not just about that slow pace. These folks mostly that are doing, 5 sets of 6 repetitions or whatever, in between repetitions, they'll set the weights down. So, let's say this is setting the weight down, and then I do another rep, and then I set it down, and then I rest. And I do another rep, and then I set it down, and then I rest. And this isn't productive as well. If you're resting between those repetitions, you're not putting the maximum impact on that muscle group than you can possibly do. And to kind of say this in a different way, of course, most of you know, there's 2 different states of muscles. Catabolic is the state that we're basically born into, in a sense. For every year after we turn the age 25 or 26, our muscles begin slowly losing muscle mass, maybe about a half a pound of muscle every year, somewhere around that point. And so if our muscles stay in complete catabolic, which is the state of breaking down, then we'll lose muscle mass through our lives. Of course, if we're doing strength training, we're going to gain more muscle mass. And the furthest we can get our muscles into that anabolic state, which is the rebuilding process where your muscles begin growing, fully broken down and ready to begin growing again. That's basically where we want to get to in our muscle groups. The furthest we get there, the more we're going to get out of this. That's in a good way, really good way to put that is, in terms of efficiency as well. There are a few lessons to be learned here also. Full muscle fatigue is important, but hey, I guess I could spend an hour every day for a week in the gym, fully fatiguing my muscles. Then I'm going to get more muscle growth, right? That's not how it works either. Resting between sessions is super important. Those couple days of rest are really, really, really important for being able to grow more. If the muscles don't have that rest, then they're not going to be able to get back into the state to where they need to be broken down again and to continue building already. In terms of efficiency, like I was about to say, the place that really matters, according to a lot of studies, and I'll put in the description this study that I came across that I continue to look over, and there's a few others very similar to this one. This one's the most impactful in my opinion. They basically had 3 test groups, and they took all three of these. One of them worked out for 60 minutes in a gym, full fatigue in their muscles. Another, their workout was 40 minutes. Another test group, their workout was 20 minutes. And, the common denominator between all of these, they fully fatigued their body when they were in the gym working out. That's the common denominator. They all got the same muscle growth, or very close to the same muscle growth. So what we're saying here is that full fatigue is really the thing that matters the most, and duration isn't even as important as intensity. When we talk about intensity, that full fatigue matters so very much. So all of these principles kind of put together into this one package, and this one notion of getting to full fatigue being that important place that you get to during strength training. Out of all the strength training principles and guidelines that I can bring to mind and kind of go through my head, these principles that come from the super slow method or high intensity training method, this is the one principle that really kind of pulls all of them together in a sense. It's why we go slow. It's why we don't rest between repetitions. And you're basically, what you're just going to want to do is you're going to want to push until you can't. As uncomfortable as that might feel in the muscles, of course, we don't want any pinching in a joint. We don't want to push the muscles to a state of strain. We just want them to feel that deep warmth of muscle engagement that we do experience when we're doing that. So if you're doing a strength training workout and you want to apply this, what does that mean for you? For one, probably slow down. You could do a 10-second repetition instead of a 1-second repetition. You'll begin to feel your muscles more. You'll take strain away from your joints. You'll be able to feel the impact on those muscle groups being utilized, regardless of what muscle group it is. You're also going to want to stop setting your weights down between reps to help get to that deeper fatigue. If you feel like your weights are too light or too heavy at that point, because it could be one or the other, you're going to want to make that adjustment. Don't be afraid to let your weights come down a little bit if you feel like you're lifting too heavy, that you have to use momentum to carry them. This is a dangerous place to put yourself in. And so along with getting to full muscle fatigue in a slow manner comes a safer strength training environment, so where you're basically not going to injure your joints. So if it's too heavy, lower it. If it's not heavy enough, raise those weights up to where you can reach that place of full fatigue. And so I'm going to give you some examples here in the studio of, me simply doing a few exercises here. And the first one's a leg press. And I lift a really heavy leg press. It's like 490 here, somewhere around there. I may have lowered it a little because I did another workout really close to another one, a little closer than I'd prefer. But you can see I'm moving through this, doing this leg press at this slow pace. I'm not setting it down between reps. And then in that one moment, when I do get to that point where I cannot push any further, and you can see it happening right here, bam, I just get into that full muscle fatigue. And it's pretty simple. And that's that 10-second repetition pace that I was talking about. Another technique on some sort of equipment, if you have a hard time moving slow or you have a hurt joint, the reason I do this biceps curl like this, and you can see me in this position, I'm basically just holding this in one position. Now, the resisting phase right here, it's actually, when it comes down to it, studies show that it's not quite as productive as moving through that pulling phase as well. But that is absolutely okay. It really isn't that huge of a difference. If what we're talking about here is protecting our joints, which is the reason why I'm doing this, when I do the biceps curl this way and just let it resist all the way down, typically I won't feel any pain in my elbow all throughout the week. So this is a good isometric difference. Basically, I'm just holding that and resisting all the way through it until I literally am incapable of holding this up any longer. That's another example of getting to full muscle fatigue. It's really always about the same thing. What we're doing is we're just pushing the muscles we're using to absolute fatigue, where we cannot push further. That's the whole entire gig. The very last one, this is just an example of me setting myself in that position. Basically, this is a chest press on the ground. I'm just putting myself in a push-up position is all. And I'm going to resist all the way through this, of course, someone with less upper body strength could start on their knees if they wanted to. A lot of ladies could, a lot of older people could do that, and that would be very beneficial to help get started. Any beginners, you could start on your knees and work your way up to being in a full push-up position on your toes or the balls of your feet and your hands as well. The whole goal here is the same thing. You just hold that position until you can absolutely not hold it any longer. A lot of people have asked me as well, I hear this often, well, what's the difference between getting to full fatigue there, in the push-up position or, on a chest press? And of course, the biggest reason, in my opinion, is isolation, safety in the joints, right? If we're using a machine, we're going to isolate those target muscles there in the chest a little more. We won't be using the supportive ones here that are close to the neck that could get some straining involved, So it is going to be a tiny bit safer. I guess that's why I always say having a fitness trainer to watch your form is really helpful. Of course, I work for The Perfect Workout. We have a virtual program where, you can train with Zoom. I'll actually leave a link down below if you want to check them out. You do get a free workout, no pressure to absolutely buy anything. But you do get a free workout if you tell them that JG sent you from Safe Fitness Training, my website. Please, hey, leave a comment down below if you want to ask any questions or talk any further about full muscle fatigue. I'm here to answer any of those questions, help you if I can. Or until next time, hey, join me for my next video. Look forward to seeing you. Have a good day.